Hi there, Rob here. I'm just going to take you through adding images, and they could be fabric samples, they could be pictures, as I'm going to use here, but adding some kind of colorways, swatches to your drawings. So I've got a fairly basic, very basic artwork page here. I'm going to use the same document to create a colorways page with some additional artwork in it. So normally in Illustrator, when you want to add a pattern or a color to an object, you select it and then you add your pattern or you use your color into the shape. However, when you want to show multiple versions of your artwork, so you want to have your basic black and white artwork and then you might want to have colorways or other versions, if you keep the colors on separate layers, it's a lot easier to save different versions. So what I can do here is take my outlines. So all I'm going to do is use the outlines of these garments. I'm going to place an image inside them to sort of simulate the look of the colorways page with the fabric on a separate layer. So if I'll do this down here, I'll just select, create a new layer, and I'll call this color. And then I'm going to take the outline or all the objects I need to put the color into. So I'll select the front outline, shift select the back outline, and I want to copy those onto my color layer. So I'm just going to hold down the Alt key and drag the little dot there. So that shows me my indicated, that indicates the selected outline here on that layer. So if I just hold down the Alt key and drag that into the color layer, it'll create a copy. And I'll do the same thing with the back, just drag that down into that layer there. And if I turn off everything else, you can see I've just got the two basic outlines there. So I'll do it one by one. So I'll just hide the back one. And if you've got an image, it could be a sketch, it could be a picture, it could be a scan, it could be anything. The one I'm going to use is actually a royalty-free image from the internet. All you need to do is place the image into your file. So file and place. And go find the image, and I have it just here. Click on place, and I can either click and it will drop the whole image in there. This is quite a big image, so I'll just undo that, go back and place that image. But rather than just click to place it, I'll click and drag. Now it'll automatically keep it in proportion as I drag it. If I drag it out to about that size will do. This is the image I'm using. I want to get this sort of image of like clouds and some sky into my outline. So in my layers panel here, it's dropped that or placed that link file on top of everything else. So if I just drag that down to the bottom of the list there, so I can see my outline layer there, and I can adjust it beforehand or afterwards, it doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is use this copy of the outline to cut out this image in the shape of the garment there. So all I need to do this is have my image underneath the object I want to cut it out, select them both, and if I right click, I can either make clipping mask here, or I can go object, clipping mask, make. As soon as I do that, it cuts out the image. Now as I hover over it, you can still see I've got my image showing there. Now with a clipped group, which is what this has become, you've got the outline, which is my original outline, and you've got the linked file. But because they're a clipping group, one cuts out the other. If I need to go in and adjust any of that, I can either select the linked file on its own from the layers panel, and I can actually move it around. I can enlarge it, reduce it, change the position of it, anything like that. The beauty of doing it in this two-step process, so I've got the color there, and then if I turn on the outline, now at the moment the outline front layer is behind the color layer. So if I just close up those layers so it's easy to see, color layer needs to be underneath all my other artwork. As I pull it underneath, you can see the outlines showing nicely over it. Now notice here at the poppered gusset here, that is a separate shape, so I'd need to add the image in there and also into the outline of the back as well. So if I just rearrange this, now I can place the image again, or quicker still, I can just select the linked file here in the layers panel, and again, like I did before, I can either drag the dot there, or I can drag that dot or that dot. Basically these dots are showing that the large one there is showing that that object is selected. This smaller dot here is showing that something in that group, in that sublayer, is selected, and this smaller one here is saying something in that layer is selected. It's a smaller dot because only one of the things in that layer is selected. If everything in that layer was selected, it would be a bigger dot, and there's a big dot for each layer there. So just click away to deselect, click on the linked file, and I can either alt drag that entire layer, or I can just alt and drag that little blob there. If I just drag that up to the very top, it makes a duplicate again. So if I turn off my original clipping group for the outside, and if I turn off my outline front, and then I need to pull my linked file below my back outline, and then I'll just reposition roughly there. I won't make it the exact same, and to be honest, if it's a back, I might even want to flip it around so it looks as if it's the other way around. So I could just reflect that object using the reflect tool around itself, click on OK, and now it's actually reflected, so I can make it look as if it has actually gone round onto the back there. Once I'm finished positioning it, I select the outline and I shift select the copied link file, right click, make clipping mask, and now that's been cut out. If I bring back my outline there, you can see how I've got the effect of the cloud going round off there and coming round the other side. So the other part I need to do is just the gusset in here. Now remember that when you've got a garment, all of your garment panels will be in different, will connect differently. You won't have an image or fabric going perfectly through into a different part of the garment, so it's worth offsetting or just moving things very slightly. So what I can do, I'll do the same technique. I'll just turn off the back version there, and I'm going to go and click on my gusset there. I'm going to alt and drag that little dot into my color panel because I'm going to use that shape to cut out again. I can turn off the outline front that I've got there, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to select that linked file again and do again what I did before. So I'll just alt and drag that dot onto the top of the layer so it duplicates it. Then I'm just going to hide all the other things away and make sure that the linked file that I've duplicated is underneath the gusset there. I'm going to move this slightly so it doesn't look like it's going perfectly into the other panel when it all comes together, and then all I need to do is shift select that shape along with the linked file, right click, make clipping mask, and then I can turn everything back on. So that's all my colors panels. You can see how that's slightly offset there. If I wanted to go and alter it again, if I click on the object there, if I go into the clipping group, just click on the linked file, zoom out slightly, I can actually I could rotate that, I can move it around just to make it look like it's offset. If I bring back the outline drawings there, you can see how it works a bit better. Now I've purposely gone for something slightly abstract. You probably go for something a little bit more in keeping with your actual design, but that is 3 versions of the same image have gone into that color layer, and that color layer is now one layer on its own. So when I want to output different versions of my file, now I've got this set up, I've got my heading, it's titled artwork page, I've got my front and back, so I can go File, Save a Copy, and I'm going to save this as an Illustrator. As I say, it's an Adobe PDF, so it's a PDF that I can use to print out. I can take off the copy and I'll change that to artwork, and then when I go to save that, I'll have the PDF options box. Now if you use this option, you'll be able to edit it and it'll be like an Illustrator file but in PDF format. However, we just want to have a basic PDF format. I always prefer to use this PDF X3 version. It's an internationally recognized format for PDF, which means that everybody should be able to read it. Notice how the Illustrator editing capabilities are not available here. And if I save that PDF now, it'll give me a little warning, but we're happy with that. It'll save that PDF file. Now if I want to do a colorways version, if I turn on my colors layer, there we go. Now all I'm going to change here, rather than retype this, I'm going to select this artwork page, and again I'm just going to do edit, copy, edit, paste in front. I'll hide the old one, and then if I just double click on that and edit the text, so it says color page. So now I've got an option in my borders layer down here, so I can show color, I can show artwork. So now if I click on the color page option, I've got the color there. You might want to add some other things to your color page, like some alternative swatches, some alternative colorways, but now I've got a color version. I can go File, Save a Copy, and I'll save a PDF, but it will show in different formats. So I'm just going to change the title of the document to color, save that there, and off we go. And now we'll have everything we need. Two versions of the Adobe PDF. So there's my PDF for the artwork page, and there's my PDF for the color page. And you can keep doing this with different versions of the layers, so I can go back in and hide different layers and show different layers. So if I get rid of the color layer here, I'll get rid of the outline back layer. I've got these that I prepared earlier with enlarged detail there, so then I can change the text there, and again if I duplicate that color page layer, turn off the original one, and then just rename it, I'll call that detail page, and I can save that as a third PDF, and you can keep going for as long as you need to produce new pages. So if I save a copy there, and I'll call that detail, and just remember to save in the Adobe PDF format when you save it, and save as a copy. And now there's my details layer as well. So I've got my detail page as one PDF, and then I've got my color, my basic artwork page, and they can all be compiled into a technical pack, or however, whatever you need them for.